Alright, so I've been too lazy to type this theory up for a while, but here it is. That is the possibility of Shibai in fact being a good guy, the complete opposite of what a majority of people assume he will end up being. Shibai, to me, comes across as the Boruto story's equivalent of Hagoromo, the story's version of a god-like being who is said to have given rise to the existence of modern-day variants of techniques, styles, and abilities. All Otsutsuki up to this stage of the story were depicted as somewhat evil individuals whose end goal would lead to the end of humanity. They're represented wearing white clothes while committing acts that place humanity in harm's way. Shibai's first appearance within the story depicted him wearing a black robe, which is symbolically in stark contrast to the clothing of all other Otsutsuki we've seen so far. Bear in mind this is a visual depiction in which Shibai's robes appear to also be torn up. Not exactly the most godly way to give us a glance of the full view of a character for the first time. With this in mind, I do believe that Shibai may have deserted the ways of the Otsutsuki. Whether it was through some form of fight or leaving of his own accord, the tattered robes seem to imply a period of time where comfort was not available. Back during the original Naruto story, we knew of two key characters, Sasuke and Madara, who deserted the village and returned at some point with what most would say were bad intentions. The Boruto story, however, appears to be gearing up for a setup opposite in nature. As of the last chapter, it looks like Boruto will be forced to desert the village, not due to any evil intentions, but rather out of necessity for his own safety while having good intentions. If the same pattern is to play out, I do think Shibai may have undergone a similar situation and deserted the Otsutsuki with good intentions, possibly having understood the errors of the Otsutsuki lifestyle. Shibai may have disappeared momentarily to avoid the Otsutsuki, with the goal of returning at some point later in the story in a manner similar to Hagoromo, in order to enact some sort of plan. A question many people may then ask is if Shibai obtained such power, wouldn't he have also had to devour planets? This is possible, but it does not have to be the case. If he did obtain such power through such means, he may have realized the errors of his way on his own accord. However, I do think that it is important to keep an open mind on how he attained this power. The Boruto story tends to take certain concepts from Naruto and rewire them in a unique way. We have seen clan massacres in Naruto. Who's to say Shibai didn't obtain his power by orchestrating some attack on a group of Otsutsuki who were planning on some horrific event before absorbing those beings? We've also seen Otsutsuki sacrificing themselves for the increase in power of their comrade. Kinshiki being absorbed by Momoshiki is such an example. Could there possibly have been a group of Otsutsuki who, just like Shibai, understood that the Otsutsuki lifestyle of growing powerful was not an ethical one? A group that consequently allowed Shibai to absorb them all so that he could be strong enough to bring about a change someday. These are all possibilities. Another thing to keep in mind is Hagoromo originally intended Ninshu to be the go-to approach for chakra manipulation. However, ninjutsu would go on to become the predominant style. Hagoromo originally created the tablets for one purpose, but Black Zetsu would go on to modify them in a way that resulted in their misuse, leading people down the wrong path. In a similar manner, it is possible that Shibai attained his power through one approach, which the Otsutsuki have morphed into a completely different approach. Now that we are aware of a power that exists in the Borutoverse capable of altering people's memories and what they internalize as being truth, it may be better to start questioning everything. We no longer know what is true and what isn't. If someone were to have created a false narrative of Shibai and spread it through memory manipulation to either help him or work against him, most people would not have a clue. It's possible that this ability associated with altering memories belonged to Shibai's partner, a goddess of destiny foreshadowed in one of the Boruto anime episodes. Shout out to Lord Winter for pointing out the anime scene. Could she have also disappeared in unison with Shibai with the intention of returning at a later date to carry out some form of plan against the real threat that is yet to be revealed, explaining the two erased Otsutsuki panels? Possibly cultivating a false narrative to keep the secrets hidden. Or did she perhaps attack Shibai, forcing him to vanish for now? Though I think this option is less likely since Kaguya already did that to Isshiki. Could it be possible that Kawaki, Boruto, Ida, and Demon have inherited the abilities of these two Otsutsuki in a manner similar to what we saw between Hagoromo, Naruto, and Sasuke in the lead-up to the fight against Kaguya, the real threat? I do believe that Amato is working for either both, Or at least one of these Otsutsuki if he isn't one himself, explaining the reason for him knowing so much. Regardless of what happens, these are all possibilities to keep in mind. Of course, I could be completely wrong.